Thank you for joining XR Home, which is India's first AR/VR focused podcast. And today I'm delighted to have with me Mr. Aditya Mani, who is the founder of Yologram. So, Aditya, welcome to the show. Really appreciate you taking time being part of the podcast. Why don't we start with a basic introduction, your background, and your entrepreneurial journey?
Thank you for having me here, Eddie. I really appreciate what you've done for the community. I've been following your podcast for about since COVID, and it has actually been a lot of my direction of what I wanted to do in XR and AR has come out a lot of the talks that I've heard from you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
And I was working for a startup based out of Seattle, and they were basically into volumetric studio and volumetric video in a big way. And we looked at this. We tried to speak to a lot of celebrities. We tried to speak to a lot of the people who could set up these studios in India. And then we realized that no one really wants to spend money to set up these expensive studios. And then we also realized because of COVID, no one really wants to go into these studios. That is where, I came up with the thought that, hey, what if, just arbitrary thought, what if we could just spin up a digital version of ourselves on our mobile phone? And that is basically, this is before the whole Unreal MetaHumans came out. So, that's how we started. And we started following some German universities, started following a lot of research Google was doing, Facebook was doing about how avatars or how 3D humans could get generated based on, AI input. So it could be a photograph, it could be a video capture. And that's basically, the start of how we came about with this concept. We first said that, hey, let's come up with these humans and let's come up with these humans for fitness. So, what if I could beam a celebrity into my living room to do a workout with me? That's how the thought came about. Then we realized that, body tracking today and technology today is not that, I would say, not that refined. There's still a lot of, you're still going to see a little artifacts and you're still going to see a little bit of a gap in body tracking. So we decided that we'll get off the live body tracking train and jump onto the train where what if we could just create content using a few buttons? So, we came up with these, a few buttons on the screen where you could do certain moves or you could, do actions, which would be either fantasy actions or lifestyle actions. It could just be, you waving your hands and talking, or it could be, a backflip you're doing, or it could be a hip hop move. So this is basically how we thought we could do content creation of 3D humans in AR and VR. And then from there came the idea that, what kind of clothing can this person wear? And by default, we would, come up with these gaming skins, which not everyone would relate to. And that's where we, came up with the idea that could the clothing on this human be branded content? So, could this actually be a real shirt that you can buy from e-commerce? And could this be seen as a try-on technology? Could you be using this human to try on clothing on yourself? So you won't be able to do the fit part too well. You won't be able to do the body and the fit because it's pixels at the end of the day. But the look part, that, how would this kind of clothing look on me with someone of my skin tone, with someone of my body type? And that is basically how Yologram came up. And Yologram is basically what we said is that brands today are focusing on the same old things that they've always focused on, that is sales and loyalty. And that's all they're going to focus on. And there is an opportunity today with the metaverse and with Web3 giving us the whole concept of new revenue. So we said, okay, let's look at these three vectors. Let's look at sales, loyalty, and new revenue. And from the consumer's perspective, we said that this consumer today is a consumer who is definitely more evolved, who's more plugged into the brand, who wants to participate to the brand. They just don't want to have a passive relationship. So, we said the consumer today is really looking at engaging with the brand. They're really looking at co-creating with the brand. Like if you look at most of the creator economy, whether it's YouTube or TikTok, they're creating content with branded clothing. So, we said that there's an opportunity for the consumer to, share. There is an opportunity for the consumer to engage, and there is an opportunity for the consumer to earn, because, once you bring in the whole NFT economy, the consumer by themselves can earn out of this as well, because that's basically what the whole NFT space does. And that's how we came up with the concept of Yologram, where we said, you can style, share, and earn, where these three things that, we give you a a tool, which is what we call playable shopping. So the minute you're trying something on, you can take that human, play with it, create content with it. That's, and mix and match. Today in e-commerce, you can't mix a gray shirt with blue jeans and black pants. You can't really do that mix and match game-like experience, which we're offering. And from the from the content creation point of view, you're literally giving everyone a mini Disney or a Pixar in their pocket. You can create content with your own human. You can, make it record a greeting, send it to a friend. You can make it do backflips, make it dance to a Michael Jackson song. So this is basically what we thought. We can do content creation for the consumer. We can do playable styling for the brand, which increases engagement. And then, of course, unleash this into the metaverse, where, n number of possibilities can emerge.
You have stuck to the basics and leveraging all the business opportunities. So really, really cool. And yes, I think, we don't really need volumetric videos. Yes, I mean, obviously, maybe possibly in the next possibly decade or maybe later, when the technology completely gets binded, maybe at that point in time, we'll have volumetric videos. But right now, I think 3D digital avatars are the way to go, because I guess, though there are going to be, I mean, huge moral and ethical issues which might open up with the metaverse for digital identity, but I think a 3D digital avatar lets you explore the other side of you. You could express your avatar as a female or a Superman or a rock star. So those are limitless. And plus, here you are saying that besides just the having the uniqueness of your avatar, you have plugged in a style, not just the styling, but sharing, earning, and playing, monetizing that digital avatar with so branding. So really, really cool. But tell me, how does it work? How simple was this? Is this something like the Ready Player Me cross-platform avatar? But that's only a digital passive avatar. You're saying Yologram is creating a complete digital avatar. How does it work? First of all, maybe you could start with that. What would it take? Is it a few pictures? Is there an AI algorithm behind it? Talk about your platform. How difficult was it building it, and what are its capabilities at this point in time?
Ready Player Me is a great tech, and they focus on the cartoonish look. And that, as far as the avatar world is concerned, there is an opportunity for anonymity, and there's an opportunity for being genuine. So we're somewhere in the middle over there, and we are not on the cartoonish side. We're somewhere on the photorealistic side. So you upload a selfie of yourself, or you take a selfie of yourself, and it generates a 3D face and a 3D body based on certain assumptions it makes of that selfie. And that's basically it. And the AI is in the cloud. So basically what it does is, this is a app on your phone. We have not yet released it. We're going to be releasing it somewhere between July to September 22. But this is an app on your phone, and this app on your phone will let you take a photograph of yourself, go to the brand you want, see what branded clothing you want, add that to yourself, and then of course see try-ons. Like, you can see the clothing on yourself, you can see it in close proximity. You can even put on various kinds of 360 backgrounds, so you can see the clothing in a beach environment, or you can see it in a nightclub, however you'd like to share it. And then from there on, you can load it in AR, create content, click on various buttons. So like you said, we are not physically restricted by what we're physically capable of doing in real life. So if I'm not capable of doing a 3-pointer basketball hoop, or if I'm not capable of doing a backflip, I'm liberated by this technology, because suddenly it lets me do this. And it's fun. Basically, the whole point is it's fun. It's something which it unlocks your creativity and just lets you share it.
The metaverse is, I think, visioned by the pioneers to be a world which is going to be as seamless or close to a physical world. Because with the physical world, we experience everything in 3D, but today with all digital world, we are restricted to a 2D platform. Now, I mean, this itself is sometimes it's very difficult for people to understand. So I think before we go further, why don't we kind of make people understand what the metaverse is in simplified, basic words, and then maybe you can plug in your play. What role is Yologram going to play over there?
Sure. So, I've always seen that there are two very, very parallel powerful forces happening right now. One is metaverse and one is Web3, and they're happening simultaneously. So we're not able to often distinguish between what is Web3 and what is metaverse. Some virtual worlds today are decentralized, so they are built on principles of Web3. So some people call that metaverse and Web3. But basically, I don't think that necessarily the metaverse has to be decentralized. It could be centralized. It could be a blend of two. So it could be. So let's get down to what really the metaverse is. The metaverse, according to me, is just multiple virtual worlds, and ideally, these multiple virtual worlds should be seamless, right? So if you have Oculus Horizons, you have Sandbox, you have Decentraland. Ideally, these should have been all seamless. You can, just like how when you walk in a game from one room to another, you should be able to walk from one virtual world to another. So that when that really happens, when you're able to port from one virtual world to another, that's really when the metaverse will exist in its true form. Till now, there are these disparate virtual worlds which exist. Some of them are completely locked in. So in some of them, you're not able to port in assets, take out assets, buy with open currency. And in some, they've decentralized it. So the currency you use to buy, that's often a cryptocurrency which you can control, which you can take out, cash out. The assets that you buy, you can port in and port out based on how you bring them in, either as NFTs or you bring them in as portable assets. And the avatars as well can be brought in and out. So that's basically the dream of what the metaverse will eventually be. Today, if you go to most virtual worlds, they will give you assets, they will give you avatars. So there's not really too much portability out there. Mozilla Hubs lets you put in your avatar, but it's very complex. It's not meant for you and me. It's meant for a developer to do. So, virtual worlds are nothing but, collection of assets, avatars, and, these worlds, these physical 3D places that you can look around and interact with and play with other avatars as well. So that's basically what a virtual world is. Metaverse is a culmination of all of this in a seamless manner. And Web3 is the idea that a lot of this will be decentralized and will not be controlled by one company. And users will have the ability to either participate as stakeholders in the organization, or will have the ability to cash out and get out, and they are not locked into the system.
I guess the Gen Z are more conscious and aware about the kind of brands they want to associate with. Unlike earlier days, I think Gen Z are more connected and are in a way they are more conscious about what future they are building. So they are pushing towards these brands to be a little bit more decentralized, because I don't know how that transition is going to happen, because I mean the whole centralized game has kind of worked and served for us over the entire humanity, but it has its own issues, the entire centralization part. And decentralization could, if done in a way which is beneficial, can definitely be very, very beneficial. Maybe you can talk about the digital fashion market size and its projection, because that's what you are concentrating on at this point in time. So maybe address that, but before addressing your Yologram, the market size and the projection, talk a little bit about interoperability. I mean, how do we get there?
It's a good question. So there's a rush to who writes the standards as well. So nobody wants to let anyone write the standards. So if we've had the biggest fight that we've had in the world of 3D, that is GLTF versus USDC. So Kronos Group came up with the GLTF, which is an open standard. Pixar came up with USDZ, but more and more platforms are picking and choosing. They're not, no one's actually built a bridge. So the standards will take time, and I think it'll probably, just like how it'll probably be two monoliths who are going to rule the roost. It's going to be like Apple and Android. Even though it was, they've become the de facto standards. So I have a feeling, as far as these interoperability is concerned, whoever has got that land grab, whoever reaches there first and tries to get as maximum as possible, they will be the de facto standard, and there'll always be one competing underdog, which will be better, which will be nicer, which will always be the second option. So that's how I see, whether it's avatar technology or whether it's Unreal versus Unity, or whether, I feel that there will always be these one or two monoliths who are going to, rule this, and that's who the consumer will eventually have to choose from. My concern with decentralization today is that, decentralized and DAOs have worked well during COVID because a lot of people had free time and they were able to contribute to these DAOs and these decentralized autonomous organizations, but all of them have full-time jobs. So, I have a feeling that, when they get back to their full-time jobs, who's going to do the job of the DAO? So I feel that the organization and the platform has to be semi-centralized. The assets, the NFTs, the avatars, all of that can be decentralized. All of that can be unlocked. That can go in and out. But I think the organization by itself would probably be more efficient if it's a corporate that's running it, and they have a structure, and they're answerable to shareholders. That's probably, that's my guess. I feel in today's time, that's probably a better way to run the company that powers these virtual worlds. Although, a lot of decentralized companies are very successful today, but, it's tough. It's going to be tough when some of these people are going to quit these jobs. Who's going to fill up these DAO jobs? And it's something we haven't answered yet.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, I think, yes, there are quite a lot of initial hiccups that we need to kind of get sorted towards, going to a point where we have an organization which is completely run by code. So would you like to address the digital fashion market that you are addressing at this point of time? What's the market size and what's the projection at this point of time? And maybe while you are at it, maybe you could also talk a little bit more about the monetization of Yologram.
The market size is, there have been only various projections based on, what they say the metaverse is and what digital fashion will be. But, a lot of people say that if the skins of Roblox could sell for so much, definitely, real world fashion and digital fashion on your avatars. There have been projections that by 2025, it will be a $50 billion marketplace. So there are these numbers which are thrown out there. But, I feel that real value really comes in a combination of real world and pixels. So unless, you realize that, the consumer is smart. If you're going to make him spend $1,000 on a pixelated jacket, he may buy into it because he's either caught into this current hype that is going on, or this whole selling and reselling that NFTs are up to. But I feel that unless it's backed by real world, actual phygital kind of experiences, it's not going to have value. So, NFTs by themselves have great value. Like, if you talk about high value assets, like you talk about a real watch, you talk about an Omega watch, or you talk about a Rolex watch, or you talk about a Birkin bag. Now, these are things which are counterfeited a lot. So you can use an NFT to authenticate it, and you can have, as an add-on, you can have a digital Rolex available, which you only get if you own an original Rolex. So this way, the company's interests are also protected. That the digital sales are not, diminishing the physical sales; they're augmenting the physical sales. So that's how I see a lot of these things happening. As far as we are concerned, we see that the clothing for try-on has to be a trial experience. So once you try it on, you get the physical clothing. But yes, you would also like to wear this for say a Zoom call. I would like to wear my digital clothing for a Zoom call. So these are real world applications. You would also like to wear them for experiences like walking around in the metaverse, meeting your friends in Horizon rooms or something like that. So these are real world experiences which have value. But I would again say that if a shirt is $20, I would realistically not spend in today's world. Maybe with the hype, I'd spend $10, but eventually I'll spend $1 or $2 and have many hundreds of such shirts than to spend the kind of money people today are spending on digital fashion, because it's a novelty today and because there's so much of hype cycle going on. This kind of gives you a wrong picture of what the market size will be and how big this will be in terms of a market opportunity. I still think it will be a $1, $2 kind of, $1 or $2 to save something on your avatar, and that's how the monetization will happen. And of course, we point you to a online store, so there we get paid per click or we get paid per reference. So that's how our monetization happens, in addition to, of course, the brands being present as a SaaS on our platform.
How do we get these brands and companies to look at metaverse, in a way which is more that there's value generated? Because you mentioned that there's a lot of hype at this point in time, when it comes to metaverse, and there's these lot of projections which is floating around, by Bloomberg Intelligence saying it's a $8 trillion market opportunity, and there are these initial rush which I see which happened maybe when the 2016 the Oculus was acquired, and again there was a huge rush, and then suddenly there was a complete downturn which happened. What do you think brands and companies should do who want to be future ready?
Yeah, I would say use NFTs realistically. I mean, rather than just having pixelated images circulated and drops and having these Discord channels where you're use them intelligently, because there's a lot that the smart contract can do. And the fact that a lot of these experiences can be unlocked and sold. So for example, if I'm a gold card holder of any brand, say Gap, and then they give me access to a fashion show in Mumbai, then I should be able to sell this fashion show ticket because it's an NFT to someone else. So that's a useful application of NFTs. But because my gold card status has been converted into an NFT, there is a drop which is coming to me, which is sellable to me. And I can sell it at a premium. So that is really the realistic way in which NFT should be used. Like I mentioned, it can be, if it's a good which is high value, which is going to last long as an asset, use it for authentication, use it to convey that this is an authentic product, which is a kind of a certificate of authenticity. Similarly, NFTs can also be used for experiences. You can just unlock experiences that, your Mercedes-Benz can give you an NFT where you can go and access backstage inside Formula One. So this is really where it should be used intelligently. Right now, everyone is just dropping because it's a Me Too movement right now. Everyone just wants to be there, plant their flag. They want to be like, we want to make sure that we're somewhere in the NFT economy. We're in the metaverse somewhere. So let's just do this.
Right. Yeah. I guess because of the hype, there's a mad rush not to miss the NFT, metaverse, crypto bandwagon. But I guess, from the brands and these companies, there should be more commitment, because even with the advertising agencies, I guess I've been having conversation with advertising agencies, and they're treating this as a small time, one time, brand activation or campaign. I think there should be more commitment from whether it's an agency or company, because I think all of these, whether it's Web 3.0, your metaverse, we just understanding the language of what this is going to be. And I think in the next few years, it is definitely going to upend not just the consumer, but also the brand journey. And there's going to be a huge market opportunity over there. So I hope that there is more committed, invested approach rather than just like a small, okay, let's just do something just because it's a hype thing. I hope that, there is some serious effort from the government side right now, because they are now push driving the ecosystem. I hope that there's a little bit more committed effort from the investors over here also, because there is a huge opportunity over here. Are you guys bootstrapped? Are you guys funded? What's the team strength, and what are the other guys who bring on board onto the team?
Yeah, thanks. So basically, we have a distributed network of developers and are based out of different parts. So, we've had people out of Germany, Istanbul, US, Portugal, a lot of people out of US, because we've had good developers out of there. And we're completely bootstrapped. So, to this date, we've been working on this kind of a distributed kind of model. Now we are looking at working with a studio in India, where we're thinking of doing the product development out of India. So either we insource the development by hiring our own people in India, or we land up, outsourcing it to a development studio out of India, where, we completely do it now more, in office, in-house kind of thing.
When do you see Yologram starting to make revenue, and how?
Yeah. So when we're going to be launching in September, we would have certain brands signed on as a SaaS. So, we have two styles in which the SaaS can work. Either they pay on a monthly model, or we can do a campaign for them. If they feel that signing on a monthly model is something they're not ready for, we can do a 90-day campaign or a 60-day campaign for them, where, they can tell us what are their latest clothing. We are going to feature it on our app, and then, consumers, they'll need to socialize this concept of this app within their brands. And then consumers of the brand will take this clothing, put it on themselves, and start sharing it on social media. So we're going to have, in addition to having the concept of monthly SaaS, we're also going to have campaigns, and we're also going to have revenue coming from lead generation, that when we point them to their e-commerce. So hopefully September 2022 is when we're going to see revenue coming in.
I wish you and your team the very best for the launch. What's the challenge for a startup which has got an MVP and the traction is not there? The industry is nascent. What's the challenges that entrepreneur you faces, and what's the initial raise that you're looking at, and are you talking to investors at this point of time?
Yeah, so we will be starting our investor outreach very soon, but we're typically valuing ourselves in the $2 to $3 million range ourselves, and we're looking for something like a 10 to 20% equity partake. And the challenge really today lies more on the talent side. I think raising a small amount of money is easy with friends and family. It's easy within your networks. Getting the right studio to work on AR VR today and having a commitment to it is really where the challenge is. So people have done things, but not getting a studio which does it end to end is tough to get hold of.
Though we've got some great developers, the conversation which I've been having, at least with those startups who've been building in the metaverse space, they all seem to be saying that they are leveraging developers from East Europe and outside. I'm not saying that we don't have developers, but really, if you want a finished products, there are a lot of, at least, do correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the current state at this point in time? If you want to go for like a complete building something in the metaverse space, do we have to reach out to developers from outside? Is that the case?
Yeah, the gaming industry is way more mature in Hungary and in Ukraine. So we had a lot of good developers working out of Ukraine and Hungary. I feel in India, no one's really pitching themselves as an end-to-end gaming studio or AR/VR studio. People are more doing things like, we'll do AR content for you. We'll create 3D models, and we'll have it available on a CMS or something like that. No one's really doing AR development sales, where you have an AR app and you're doing real content and you're doing humanoids and things like that. So that's where I struggle to find a good studio out of India.
There are definite challenges because for doing something like that, because when you're building a team and doing a complete end-to-end solution requires a huge team strength and a continuous workflow. And somehow, I think, yes, there are, I think, small teams who are doing that in their capacity. But I think, being a full-fledged end-to-end solutioning startup, it requires a capital and a sustainable industry. These are those days when I think the industry is getting a little bit more stronger, and I feel that in the next few years, maybe it'll get a little binded, it'll get more stronger, there'll be more industry support, there'll be companies such as Accenture and HP and Lenovo and Meta coming together, and the government. I think what I see is that there is every startup or a company or the government are individually doing their bits and pieces. I think we need an umbrella kind of thing where all the stakeholders come together and communicate or talk to each of the stakeholders, figure out that what's lacking and try to fill the gap. Because a siloed approach towards push driving an industry which is in a nascent stage, I don't think is a very good approach. So I hope that the approach changes. I hope that we come together as a collective, and that's the reason I said maybe decentralization could be one of those approaches, though it's going to take some time. But tell me, there's a lot of these startups, entrepreneurs, students who are now wanting to jump onto the bandwagon and try to understand what Metaverse, NFT, Web 3.0 is, and how they can benefit or create businesses, or maybe just learn or educate themselves about this. What would be your advice to them, entrepreneurs and startups?
See, right now there's a lot of easy money available. So, all you need to do is go to a GAN, which is a generative adversarial network, which is an AI tool where you can feed it some kind of image and you can give it the kind of variables, and you can get thousands of images come out. You can go to any kind of platform like OpenSea on a Polygon or whatever, and then just start selling it and saying, this is my art because it's generative art. People are going to be caught up in things like this. People are going to make a few lakhs, someone making 1 or 2 lakhs a month. They are going to be quite happy doing things like this. And today it's a flat world. You can reach out to anyone on anyone's Discord channel. So those who are going to be caught up in things like this, they will continue to do this. But it is not really core development. It is really looking at an opportunity, looking at, selling something. I think a lot of the kids are doing good work as well. They've done good work in Unity in their schools. And so, I think there are a mix and match of both. You're going to have people who are good at trading, good at business, entrepreneurship. They're going to do these NFT kind of projects. And they're going to be kids who are going to be wanting to learn, who are going to work with good studios. So you're going to have equal mix of both of them coming out into the market.
And technology is a tool. I mean, it's your mobiles, your computers, your social media. I think there is a lot of conversations I keep on hearing on people saying that how technology is bad and how it's going to create a dystopian future. And I want to sit with them and I want to make them understand and tell them that, how they would be stuck in the cave age if they would have not leveraged technology. I think technology is a tool which has kind of always helped us evolve. If it was not for technology, I don't think we would have, we would still be restricted. This technology has enabled us to break away from barriers. You could be sitting, I could be sitting in India, somebody could be sitting in America, and we could still be having conversations, creating businesses, and there are so many things which is, a technology has enabled. But yes, on the downside is that technology in itself is not bad. It's the way people leverage it. I mean, like, for example, a brand like Facebook chose to leverage it for, manipulating election. Now, it's not the technology per se, it's the brand. I hope that people understand and stop blaming technology. They need to understand that I mean, people would have died if we would have not had heart transplantation. If we would not be, those people who can't hear with cochlear implant, they wouldn't have been, given the option of hearing again. And I can go and, the list would be like for a full day would be, I'll be sitting and talking about how technology is beneficial to mankind. But yes, there is those fringe elements who have been using technology, and especially on social media. There are these politicians who are buying bots, and there are giving a voice to these fringe elements who create hate speech, and they are still hidden behind the 2D medium, and some of them just put pictures and stuff like that. What happens to a world? I mean, it's a little scary. Again, I would like to point out to my audience: it's not the technology; it's the people. What are your thoughts on something like that? What is going to happen with the metaverse when the boundaries are going to break, where everybody is going to be getting these digital avatars? And how worried are you for that?
I'm hopeful that AI steps in and we're able to leverage AI to prevent evil. I mean, because we've had the case of someone in Oculus workroom being groped. I mean, even though it was not a physical groping, it was only an avatar being groped by an avatar. But that person felt completely violated, and she felt that she couldn't come back to work for 1 or 2 days. So the point is that we should be able to realize that these fringe elements will continue to exist, and the AI gets built to auto tune and auto filter out all these kind of bad elements. Because today on platforms like Fortnite and Roblox, a lot of kids are there as well, and they're innocent and they don't know any better. So we should make sure that the filters are built in by technology again to prevent these kind of fringe elements from hijacking the situation.
Right, Aditya. I mean, for me, I would completely accept a future like that, because yes, I mean, though we need to completely double check the code behind it, make sure that the code is whatever it does, it keeps human benefit at its priority. But the entire conversation of automation is completely scary, and I hope that somehow we can have conversation and make people understand that it's not the technology which is evil. It is the people who choose to use this technology. And the reason I'm kind of highlighting this is because just the last few days I've been having a conversation with this guy who kind of fronts artificial intelligence and the creativity conversation for an organization in Switzerland. And his conversation has been extremely depressing because he's of the thought that AI will make creativity obsolete, and I completely disagree. And I feel that its technology as a tool has always enabled mankind, and it always will. Aditya, would you like to share your thoughts on the future roadmap of Yologram?
The way I see it is that beyond just clothing, I mean, we want to be in the forefront of content creation, and for us, an equal success is if a grandma can see a kid in AR, either with their glasses on or with through a phone, where you're able to see your child right here. I think that would be a success for us. It can be done, but we want to evolve towards that, where we become the mechanism for teleporting yourself or holoporting yourself, like they say in the world of holography. And that is basically what our vision is. And of course, our vision, is people should have fun styling themselves, because the entire concept of going on to e-commerce has drained it out. You suddenly see that today, when you're looking at clothing, you're showing up either on a search result or you're showing up on an Amazon feed. And it's a zero-sum game, because whoever is priced better is showing up faster. So, we want to bring the whole concept of styling, where you can mix and match and have fun doing this. And of course, become the medium for communication in the future, because once you've styled yourself, you'd like to send yourself as well to someone else.
Aditya, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. You building something really exciting. I'm looking forward for your launch and wish you and the team the very best. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Bye. Thank you, Aditya. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Eddie.